Hello and welcome to the Evolve Pipedrive podcast. We talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and Pipedrive Marketplace. My name is Bruce Bignell. I own and run Evolve, and today I'm joined by Marcel Seibold, the Chief Product Officer at Demodesk, and he's going to walk us through some workflows of using the Demodesk platform and how it can integrate with Pipedrive. Marcel, over to you.
Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, as mentioned today, I would like to show you a very common use case that we see our customers using when working together with Pipedrive. So basically what I want to show you is when a meeting is ended in Demodesk or any other video conferencing software, typically what our customers like to see is having all of the data in Pipedrive as a single source of truth. And today I just want to show you how quickly and easily that is achievable in Demodesk. So the first thing you'll notice, what I show you right now, is this central hub that we have, where we show all the meetings and all the recordings that can be scheduled through Demodesk, through the Google Calendar, or any other source. And what I can do is I can look at that specific recording, and I will always have my screen recording here. And then on the right, we have the summary. And that is where we from Demodesk generate a summary using AI based on the meeting itself. And we've really focused with that on the revenue use case, so meaning for sales teams, customer success, and also specifically on the account executive or customer success manager themselves. So they get all the details and all the insights and the key facts out of it, because that is typically something where we see other providers struggle a bit, still needing to look into the meeting itself, into the recording, which obviously costs time. And then below here, we have always the option to ask further questions and also to try out different summaries. And why is this so important? Because this is basically a treasure full of data based on customer conversations and interactions. So typically what we see is now we're in a world where we can get these structured insights out of it. We can understand what is happening in our customer conversations and in our meetings.
So is this spiced a specific summary that you've got? Because when you clicked on the summaries at the bottom there, it looked like it was an option for sales. Okay, cool.
Exactly. So with very common sales frameworks like Spiced, Medic, Bunt, we provide them out of the box. Also more general use cases. So typically a meeting outline is something our customers in customer success like a lot, because it gives you this very detailed overview on what has happened in a conversation, and then also just making sure that the structured process, for example, handover between sales or customer success, is executed in a way that it is outlined in a process or in a system internally.
Love it.
Yeah, and I think commonly what everybody wants is to have that information in their CRM. So it's quite easy with Demodesk. So what we have this concept of tokens. So once I have my Pipedrive connection enabled, what I can do is I can decide what kind of information that we generate in Demodesk should be sent to Pipedrive itself. So we have a very granular way, typically for sales operations, to really go deep and decide how that information should flow. And because I've shown the example of the meeting AI summary, which is typically something you want in your CRM just to understand what the conversation was about. If we think about cases where in 6 months, maybe some new customer success manager takes over the account, those are the insights that are valuable, because even if a handover is happening, you can still read up on it.
So what we're looking at here, these are the different, obviously other CRMs are available, but we're talking about Pipedrive here. We're looking at the granular, what that item from Demodesk is, and then what that becomes in Pipedrive. So it becomes an activity, and then we're going to make, I don't want to say make a note of it in a note, but there's a note in the activity. So that's what the item becomes within Pipedrive. Would that be right?
Exactly. So what is possible with that is basically I can control in Pipedrive where I want this to be sent to. So I could send it to a field in the activity, but also on the person, organization, or on the deal.
Yeah.
And how that works is always based on the association of the participant. And therefore, it will always be associated to the right activity, deal, or organization. And just to show that that is quite granular. And then in Pipedrive itself, it will look something like that.
Yeah.
So we will have the activity, and then on top of it, we will have the activity notes. But I could always decide that I also want to have maybe that information in a different field.
So you could fill specific custom fields on the left. So a
Yes,
specific person field, a specific field in the deal as well.
exactly. So, for
Nice.
example, on the deal, if you want to have the AI summary there, we could also fill out that. And then together with Demodesk scheduling or meeting, you have always the option to just use even more of the data and make use of it. So the whole goal is the path from your sales meeting to the CRM should be as frictionless, as short as possible, because yeah, what we want our customers to see is to do is basically focus on selling and
Yeah.
not so much on documentation. And nobody likes to sit in the office after 6 p.m. after a long customer conversation and then still needing to summarize or fill out everything. So that's what we're working on here at Demodesk.
These new salespeople have no idea what it used to be like.
I can imagine, yes.
um, yeah, there's a lot of late nights just filling out your CRM with data. The work that you'd done that day was always the just yeah. Anyway, but is there anything else you'd like to show here?
Mm-hmm. So just for the complete picture, because we talked about the summary in the most part, but also what we do with Demodesk as well is just the ability to score these meetings based on your sales framework. So now we've used Spiced to actually evaluate, to get the insights out of it in this structured format, but as well, we can also check and evaluate if our sales teams are using Spice on how it is meant to be, meaning did they ask the questions that matter? Because I think everybody who has worked in sales sometimes we tend to look at things through pink glasses to think like, okay, we heard something, but
Yeah.
maybe it's not exactly the same that has happened in the conversation. And that's a good way to just double check that also for yourself to understand what I think how the meeting went. Did also some neutral AI coach think the same way? And this gives you these little nudges always as an
Yeah.
email after the conversation so that you can just double check and check for yourself if you're improving. And also, it's quite fun to just see what the AI identifies and comes up with.
Yeah, it's cool. It just allows you not to with any kind of prospecting or even its qualification. It's the story, right? So it doesn't end with the first meeting. It doesn't end with a scoping, or even when it goes into when they are a customer. Like you should always be filling the gaps of what you know or what you. Yeah, you should always be building out your sales story on that person. So having a framework to then capture that and it automatically feed into your CRM is very, very powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think those are the topics, right, where if there's so many topics coming, going around, there's so many things to discuss, so many things to do. That's typically it's documentation in a sense, right? And that's typically where top teams overperform and some other teams struggle a bit with, because it's always easy to deprioritize, but then it hurts you later and as well in the long run. So I think that's a perfect bridge to just close that gap and make all the teams better.
Yeah, like it. How's the feedback score worked out? So that we have a 10 out of 10 here. Is that based on sentiment of yes, 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 not many no's?
Mm-hmm.
And how are they worked out?
Mm-hmm. So what we have here is basically the metrics of how the conversation went more on like a technical level. So the
Yeah,
engagement score just shows us how many switches between the speakers were there, because typically what junior sales people sometimes struggle with, they're so enthusiastic about the product, they're happy to present it like me right now, and then am I inviting Bruce enough to also ask questions, to also share a bit about himself? Because ideally, whatever I'm showing should be a conversation starter and also be a great opportunity for me to learn more. And
yeah,
that's the way on how we can make that somewhat like a metric to just look out for.
yeah. I'm sure Veronica and the team won't mind you talking a little bit more. on this.
Fair, fair. Yeah, and also what we added here, obviously the talk ratio, because I mean every conversation should be somewhat balanced. I mean there are differences. If you're doing a product demo, right, you might want to talk a little bit more. Also, if you have a solution engineer in your conversation, I mean it's more like a deep tech dive, so it is expected that that person
Mm.
talks more. In a discovery, ideally, you want it the opposite. So there, you want the customer to talk to get into what is going on in the organization. And then lastly, the talk speed, where we don't believe in saying you should talk a certain way. We more believe it should be more like a mirroring, right? So it should be more in a comfortable way. So if you have someone who talks very fast, you should ideally also try to just mirror that a bit and match their preference for the conversation.
Nice, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and
I'm
then
still
the other
waiting.
part.
I'm still waiting for in real time. How can someone speed up my talking? I listen to myself in times two because I talk very slowly. So if you can do that in real time, that would be wonderful.
That'd be quite interesting. That is true. That is true. Yeah, and then lastly, we have the automated feedback. So that is coming from the AI coach. And as we can see here, we use again the SPICE framework, and then it will use these questions, look at the conversation of the meeting, and then give you just insights on what it has noticed, things you might want to try next time, and just give you an overall rating. And all of these things are always customizable. So there's always an option to then make it fit to your sales process, because that's where then really that power comes from, like understanding what in your organization, what do you expect your sales team to do? Is there a certain feature they should mention? Is there a certain question that always works, that gets the customer talking? So that is also quite adaptable.
Yeah, I like it. And in terms of from within Pipedrive itself, because obviously this is you've set up your calendar meeting, excuse me, which is then Demodesk um, is an invitee, I assume, comes into the meeting, um, Zoom or Google Meets or Teams. Can you how can you create those? Like, if you're from within Pipedrive, could you be creating your meetings as you normally would from within Pipedrive, and then Demodesk still gets invited?
Mhm. So it depends a bit on the specific use case. So with
Yeah,
our coaching and the AI offering, we will always join the meetings that are on the Google Calendar. So their Demodesk will just always know about the conversation and then
yeah,
ask if it's okay to join. So that is fine. We also have our own scheduling solution that also integrates with Pipedrive. And yeah, it's just for these very specific inside sales teams, where it's about for SDRs just quickly scheduling a meeting
yeah.
and then seeing the availability and being able to model this whole process, who should get which meeting, maybe because of language preferences or based on
Mm.
experience. So those are all things that we can also set up ourselves. So that is typically something that happens in Demodesk. And then for the Demodesk meeting portion, that is something, yes, where just using the location of the event in Pipedrive, I can set up a meeting that then will happen on Demodesk itself. So also on that area, we are integrated.
Nice, very cool. Well, Marcel, is there anything else? Or I mean, I would recommend people try it out themselves, right? We'll put links below. But from my side, that was really useful. It's a nice kind of whistle stop through the assistants. I like the coaching features. I like the automatically updating the CRM, saving the time for sales reps. That's pretty huge. Um, but yeah, where should people find out more?
Yeah, for sure. So they can always find us on our website, demodesk.com, or on LinkedIn, where there's always updates about the product and any other interesting information. And lastly, obviously, on the Pipedrive Marketplace, where we can also be found.
Nice one. Well, Marcel, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce.
Cheers now.